We're back, mate. We're back again. It's the Two Ordinary Cops. How's Schultzy today?
Mate, I am not too bad. Flat out, as we always complain about every week. But I think, mate, when you lived a life as a police officer, I think that's just it. When you leave the police, it's probably good to keep yourself active. What do you reckon?
Well, flat out's a whole different. Like, yeah, okay, you're busy. It's all no. It's a different level of flat out. It's not. It's not soul destroyingly flat out. It's just okay. Yeah, busy. What are you doing? I'm home for dinner. It's all sweet. No, what have you been doing? I just
Yeah,
making,
well,
working, making money. It's all good.
yeah. Well, mate, and you're right there. I think the difference is now we're busy because we make ourselves busy. But like you said, we're always home for dinner. You can actually plan. I sit down with my missus most nights and watch some shows or something we're interested in. But that's something we never got to do in the police.
Oh shit, no. No. What are you doing tonight? I don't know, probably chasing some little scumbags around the street and stolen vehicles. What are you doing? Yeah. No, it's all
Well,
good, mate. That's what we want.
well,
Hey,
exactly.
Schultzy, I sent you the photos, mate, but I've got some big news for the country. I saw
Well,
falling snow for the first time in my life.
I know that was pretty incredible, mate. That was over the weekend, mate. Do you want to just give everybody a rundown what happened?
Well, it's going to sound stupid for those who've seen snow before, but I never have because last time it snowed in Darwin, I don't think anyone up there ever saw it. So, yeah, no, it's and certainly not. I think Toowoomba, it has snowed in Toowoomba at some point in history, but I certainly never saw it. I've been overseas. I've been to Switzerland. I've been to New Zealand. I never saw falling snow. I saw snow on the ground, but not falling snow. And it was Saturday, and just the Saturday just gone, and it was raining in the morning, and then I heard tinkling on the roof, and I thought, well, that's Sago, and I got the kids out. Oh, they didn't care. They went back inside. It just looked like mini hail, and then it went really quiet. But I was inside and doing other things, and I wasn't thinking about it. And my wife went mad. She was out on the veranda. Kids, quick, hurry up! And she called the kids out, and because it had gone really quiet, not because it stopped raining, it's because it started snowing, and it doesn't make any noise. And
Yeah.
yeah, it snowed in not at our place. It snowed for about 4 hours at our place, but it snowed for 6 hours further higher up. So think Armidale, Gyra, places like that. It snowed for 6 hours, and they had a foot of snow all through the place. We had about in the old scale 4 inches, so 150 mil. So 150 mil of snow all over our place. It was pretty impressive.
Hey, mate, 150 mil is 6 inches.
6 inches. Six.
Yeah,
Sorry, we're at 100 mil. You
yeah.
correct. Oh, geez, don't worry about me, mate. That's why
That's
I'm a worn out old copper, not a chippy, mate. That's why.
no, that's right. But well, the thing is also we're showing our age because my dad and of course when I worked on the boats, we always spoke in feet and inches. So it
Yeah,
was
and I
learning.
find myself doing it too. And the thing is, metric's such a better system. But anyway, that's all right. Not
It
much to do
is,
with policing, but it's all good. Yeah, yeah. So
but
very exciting. I saw snow,
yeah.
and so did my kids. Yeah, so that was good.
Well, mate, we got a bit of a different episode this week. We have, and we're going to leave it to the end. But we have had a couple of cartons of the week. So, but we're going to talk about them in the end and mention them
Yeah,
then. But,
and they're
it's
good.
they are very good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. So keep them coming through, people. You actually, I mean, I was reading one the other night, and I was just pissing myself laughing because I thought, oh, that's an absolute cracker. So yeah, but we'll mention that one towards the end of the episode. But also, mate, we look our numbers are going up and up and up, and it's probably a lot to do help with Kate. She's been helping out with the social media, which
Yeah.
is awesome. We're getting a lot more recognition. Also, actually, the UK, especially England, they ever since your post turtle buddy one, you got laughter in the muster room. In one of the muster rooms in England, and mate, our UK numbers are really going up. So it's yeah. I mean, it's great. It's good to see, and they're consistently listening. So
Yeah, good on them. And
so we
God bless. I bet the UK muster rooms are no different to Australia. In fact, I know that for a fact because I've spoken to coppers who are ex-Met, and they just go, That's the same thing, mate. It's all right. It's the same place. It's just you blokes talk funny. That's all. It's like, mate, you're the only one here talking funny. Uh,
You do that accent so well.
well, I think the people in the south of London might disagree, but anyway, that's all right.
Well, possibly, mate, but I know you do the Scottish one very well. And we
I
have
do.
actually we've got a Scottish mate that helped us with our internet actually setting this up, and yeah, you have actually a very good
What do you
Scottish
say? A
accent.
touch of Glasgow. I'm not going to do it now because I'll embarrass myself, but it would probably a touch of Glasgow. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
But yeah, looks and some of the comments we've had coming through, they've liked a lot of the people we've had come on the podcast as well, giving it different perspective and all that sort of thing. We've got we actually have quite a few lined up. People got in contact with us, asking whether to come on, or people that have been listening and have got ideas from it. And Nick White sent one through. So thanks to him, and and keep on donating to his charity, Bellator Fortitudium. That I think that's a really, really good thing he's done there. So it's
Oh, definitely. Yep.
yeah, it's first responders, and we've also got another one which will line up in the next few weeks, which also helps with first responders. After the job and all that sort of thing, with some of the stress and hypervigilance and all that sort of thing. It
Yeah, the
was
hypervigilant people talk a lot about PTSD, but they don't. I know it's all part of it, but no one talks about the hypervigilance. Although I mean, in the groups, in people who know, you sort of know. But I think I might try and explain that a bit. And I'm pretty lucky; it's starting to fade a bit. Although I can spot a crook. Holy Christ, you can spot a crook! But it's not so much that; it's the hypervigilance is to me extreme situational awareness amongst humans. So basically, when you're in a crowd and you just like I look at my wife or people I know or my mother-in-law or just anyone walking in a crowd and they're kind of ignoring everybody. Well, coppers don't get that luxury, so coppers are not ignoring everybody; they're paying attention to everybody. And I love the story. I love the old saying that you can't judge a book by its cover. Well, I disagree to a point because the whole idea of the cover is it tells you the title of the book and it
yeah,
tells you what the book's about a bit. So
yeah,
you can a bit judge a book by its cover, but you mightn't be completely correct. The book might be a little bit different, but I find myself judging books by their cover quite a bit, and I don't think I'm all that wrong. And I actually got proven right the other day. I was in Lismore at Woolies, and I just bought a few things, and I'm walking out, and I looked at a bloke, and I thought, oh, he didn't look right. Anyway, maybe that was just a quick thought, and I just walked on. Anyway, next minute he's walking out and gets picked up by. They've got a security guard on the on the small Woolies, and he's going, mate, you have to come back inside, bloke. And there's a bit of an argument outside. It was no violence or anything, but a bit of an argument. And I thought, yeah, well, turns out the book title was correct. So that's the hypervigilance. I mean, no one else in the shop would have spotted him, but I just went, nah, he doesn't look right. And he was
yeah,
a thief. He was a shop stealing piece of shit. So
yeah,
I was right. And I think the hypervigilance it's funny because it's a tool. Like it's good to be hypervigilant when you're on duty. The trouble
yeah,
is when you're off duty, I'll never forget, and I can't remember his name, but we had a guest speaker in the Northern Territory Police some years ago. This would be, 8, 9 years ago. And one of the things he used to say was hypervigilance. He talked about the hypervigilance roller coaster. So saying when you're on duty, you're hypervigilant. And you're really, really, it takes a lot of energy to be hypervigilant, which is why it's not
yeah,
healthy else other times. But it's good at work because you're up and down. And he goes, he loves the saying, a glass half full. Well, he goes, no. What I want to teach you is how to switch on and off. So I want you, when you're at work, I want you to go, is the glass stolen? Is the liquid lawful? Is the space above it regulated? Is this about? So I want you to be beyond hypervigilant when you're at work, but I want you to be able to switch off and not have that massive come down because that's what destroys families. So what
yeah,
his point was you're hypervigilant when you're at work, but you need to understand that you are hypervigilant and it's a work tool. And then what you need to do then is make sure that when you're off duty, you make your family the priority, and you make sure that. And I think I did it quite poorly in the Northern Territory. I'm trying my best now to make it the priority, but yeah, I did it poorly in the Territory because the work was the priority, and then home was where I was the, like I say before, the old mobile phone on the charger. So
Yeah.
that's that's that sort of thing. But it's hypervigilance is in day to day, and I'll flick over to you in a sec. But just it's that constant. It's situational awareness, but a little bit beyond that. It's situational awareness that becomes almost exhausting, and I think I'm in a lucky spot. I think I've gone beyond it. I challenge myself to keep my back to the road, although it is stressful. I'd rather watch the road, but um, yeah, I think we're very. I think both of us are pretty lucky, but a lot of people can't let go of that. So, what are your thoughts on that, mate?
Mate, look, I completely agree with you. And I think, look, I definitely did it poorly as well. I was kind of one that threw myself straight into police work. I mean, I always said I was married to the police, which is probably why my marriages broke down. But and it's that same thing. Afterwards, yes, I'm the same. I actually make myself turn my back, to the door and all that sort of thing. However, there's sometimes where even Miriam now, and not that long ago, I've got to have my back to the wall and looking at everybody come in, because you'll just see something that triggers it's not, you can switch it off to a certain extent, but I think because we did it for so long and for such an extended period of time, and saw some of the, I suppose, consequences of people not being vigilant,
Mm.
it it does switch on from time to time. I look at, and I mean, like you said, that person at Woolworths or Coles or whatever it was, it will just suddenly trigger something. You go, do you know what? That is not quite right. And I think the other point I also want to make there, when you investigate, that's what you do. You do judge a book by its cover. You look at it, like you mentioned Lismore, and I'm going, yeah, well, Lismore. I mean, yeah, there'd be like shooting a fish in a barrel, down there, because
Oh,
I've
mate, Lismore's an absolute jewel compared to Alice Springs. Holy Jesus! Oh
um,
yeah, I'd eat a
but
meal off the floor in Woolies in Lismore, except for the bare feet. I, I can't get with this bare feet thing that Northern New South Wales on the eastern coast. Everyone's in barefoot. I can't get it. I just don't get it. In the Territory, everyone wears thongs at least. I suppose it's because
I,
the ground's so bloody hot. But shit.
Mate, actually, that is, sorry, we're going to go on a tangent here. But I see heaps of people walking in bare feet. I'm going, hold on,
Yeah,
what's going on here? It's
yeah.
like, yeah,
I
and
can't
mind
get
you,
into it, mate. I can't
I,
get into
I,
it.
I would pay money to see you eat off the floor in Lismore of the local Woolworths. I would
Oh, mate,
actually
I'd
put
eat off the floor in Lismore before I would in the Woolies and Catherine. I give you the drum. Yeah,
money.
but yeah,
But
you're right, mate. You go. Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, so that hypervigilance and the vigilance, but that is some of the things, like we judge a book by its cover, but that makes us look deeper into things. So you notice something, and then you'll sit there and go, you look at some of the other either triggers or something they're doing wrong, and I don't think. And look, talk to cops have been out longer than we have. I mean, I've almost been out. Jesus, it's coming up to 8 years now.
mm.
Um, and it still hits me from time to time. I don't think you ever get rid of it. And we talk to even a lot of people that have been out for a lot longer, and they still have that same instinct, I would call it.
Yeah.
So
Instinct's a really good word. Yeah, it's an
yeah,
inbuilt thing. It's like you just yeah. It's there's I can sense tension. And every copper would just be nodding their head right now. I can sense tension in a crowd from a mile away.
yep,
Actually, funny, we are in, this is a while ago. We are in Tin Can Bay doing some training a few months ago. I mean, I was there last week, but a few months ago, like quite a few months ago, maybe even last year, we're in
yeah,
Tin Can Bay, and we're in the little pub there. next to where we were staying, and some drama sort of I could sense escalation in the smoking area, and I turned
Yep.
myself so I could see it. And Russ is like, "You're right," and I said, "No, there's a drama over here." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" Me offside of Russ, a bloody legend in fire. Anyway, we're looking over there, and anyway, next minute there's two blokes full yelling at each other, pointing in their faces. There's going to be a blow up here, and there's a lot of blokes on either side not saying much. It's going to be a blow up, and it never did blow up. But I picked it before it even kicked off. Like there was just something you could just hear elevated tones. I couldn't hear the words because it was through glass. Like we were inside, they were outside. And then
Yep.
once they kicked off, the front door was open, so I could hear a bit, but I couldn't hear the words. And then I could hear the words once they started yelling. And he's gone, "Mate, don't get involved." And I said, "Bloody hell," as if I'm getting involved. Like I'm certainly not getting involved. I'm just saying that I can sense the tension, and that was that was the drama that sort of
Yep.
rolled out. But yeah, you can certainly detect it and certainly sense it.
Happened recently at the Indooroopilly Hotel. There was a guy. I actually can't remember exactly what he was doing. You picked it up first, um, where that he was abusing the staff behind the bar, and I think it was about a payment on a bet he'd put down or something like that. And you stood up and just intervened and said, "Mate, just try to." Well, you did actually de-escalate the situation, but I remember, you interacted, and then I stood up next to you because of it's a show of force, it's presence. Not that
Yeah,
we
he's a cranky old bugger.
he was a cranky old brother, but
Yeah.
we got some really good feedback from the staff in relation to that. They were very, very thankful about what we did, and I remember that was also we were there. I think when we were talking with a lot of ex coppers.
Yeah, it
Um,
was the day we caught up with all the old NT guys, and
that's
it was a great day. But yeah, no, it was just an old bloke who was it was beyond a customer complaint. It was he was abusing the shit out of this young woman who was behind the bar, and I just went, yeah, no, you know what, no.
yeah,
But I mean, the thing was, I think that it wasn't so much that we intervened; it was more that the hypervigilance was there. Like I sort of spotted him a mile away, and he was just a cranky old bastard.
yeah,
And then even when he ordered his drinks, he just would, yeah, another one. He was just a prick.
yeah.
Well, just an angry old man.
And
And I just remember sort of saw him do that earlier, and then he came up again. And you got to remember, there's a lot of people there, and I think the hypervigilance comes from the fact that you filter a crowd really quickly.
yeah,
Coppers will relate to this a bit. I can very quickly skim through a crowd and just go, no trouble, no trouble, no trouble. I'll just keep an eye on him. Blah, 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 blah. Just it's like you sort of spot trouble, and you can very quick. And bouncers would understand this, and corrections staff would understand this. You can scan a crowd really quickly and just go, right, here's a potential problem, and you might move on, and you just might keep half an eye on them. Well, I'd picked that up probably 20 minutes earlier because the way he ordered his last drink, I thought, yeah, rude old prick. And
yeah,
then I watched him, and I watched the way he just sat by himself and was watching his bets, and was just not a happy guy. And then there was some I buggered if I know what the problem was, but he had some issue with the bet that he'd put on, and he just started abusing the shit out of this young girl behind the bar, and we'll just fix it. What the fuck's wrong with you, bro? And he's into this woman, and yeah, she's only young. She would have been in the mid-20s probably.
yeah,
Anyway, I listened for a minute, and I said, no, you don't get, no, bugger it. We've been here having a good time. She's been bloody good to us and bloody good to everyone else, and she's a good bartender, and she's obviously a decent human. And no, you don't get to abuse her. So it was like just the old thing, you stomp out a bully, but it was the hypervigilance that picked it up, you know. So that's we're talking about the hypervigilance, not so much the problem, but
yeah.
it was just that I detected it a long time before, and it's just that old sense, and it's nothing special about me. It just means that we've been in that environment for a long time, and everyone who's been in that environment can spot a problem a mile away.
Well, it's funny because you just brought up a memory, and or not actually a very recent memory, and it was something because most people see me and they see happy-go-lucky Schultzy. I'm usually most of the time I'm quite fun. I'm out there and all that sort of thing, and they'd never really seen me serious, and I got this in the police a bit where people had only seen me being the cop in town and just saying good day to people, just being the everyday country cop having a chat to people, nice. And I remember one day in Millingimby, I had to give this guy a dressing down because he was trespassing. However, we weren't going to prosecute, but he was a bit simple and just needed to understand that he's not allowed to do that. And anyway, I was giving this guy a dressing down, and the one of the managers was on the phone, and I heard him in the background go, "Oh, just hold on a minute, mate. I, I'll have to talk to you later." And he was like laughing, but not so much because of the way I was dressing down, but because he'd never seen me in cop mode.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
because you almost change your personality when you're in cop mode, and and it was something recently. I had a altercation with someone at work, and basically I just turned around because I am. Most of the time I'm fun. I'm nice to people. I'm pleasant. And blah blah blah. And I turned around and I said, "Mate, whatever you send to me comes back at you 10 fucking fold. So you want to be a dick? I'll be a bigger one."
yeah,
And there's a couple of people that sat there and just go, "Holy shit, I've never seen you be that direct." And it's, well, it's how you treat a bully.
yeah,
You sit there and go, you can throw whatever you want at me, but and we use that in the police a lot. You pull somebody up on a road. So most people are generally very nice, or most people when you're interacting with them are very very nice. But however, you want to be a dick, and you'll get you'll get what's coming to you.
yeah. And it's the old. Yeah, you just meet them at their level, really, isn't it? So, but yeah,
Basically,
that's the old hypervigilance. What else? There's a bit of feedback, mate. What else have you got there from the old
yeah, mate.
feedback?
Yeah, so we've had quite a bit, and like I was saying before about the different guest speakers. My mum was actually mentioned a couple of times because I'd lead Schultz. Apparently, her cooking is well renowned in the Northern Territory Police Force because Jason Laring, who we haven't actually met, but he remembers.
No, I worked with him. I know
Oh,
Jace.
oh, you
Yeah,
did,
yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
yeah. And he said that he'd actually heard the stories of my mum meals my mum had actually cooked for coppers in Darwin. Or from coppers that were working in Darwin, and and I said, I bet you that was Shannon Harvey. I'm just going to throw it out there. He would have been talking about it because my mum there's a Sham fan club and my mum was part of it. So
yeah. That's it. Yeah, no, he's a good man. We mentioned him before. No, that's it. Yeah, that's good. But that's always good feedback. It's good to hear that sort of thing.
oh, definitely. And there was a couple. There was one in I think New Zealand, and his mum listened to it, and she really actually liked. Um, I think hearing it from a mother's perspective,
Mm.
and I think that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to when we started this podcast, we want people to see it as Schultzy and Damo. We
Just
just do what we like.
humanisation of the police force. Like the
Exactly.
people who wear that uniform are people. They're human beings,
Yeah.
just exactly the same as you. They've just done. This is just their job. That's all it is.
Yeah. And I think it was really good giving a perspective from people outside. Like we had Ema, your wife.
Mm.
Um,
Yep.
that was a really good perspective because they see things. They don't see everything that we do, and we do keep quite a lot back from them, which both Ema and my mum mentioned. Because we don't want to offload onto those people. Um, and I think it's probably good for especially partners or family of police officers to understand this is why they don't talk a lot of the time.
Mm.
Um, I remember I had a nurse friend, and she had a good friend whose husband was a cop in the Lynch Siege Cafe incident,
Yeah. Yep.
and I got information that came back. This is when I was still a police officer, and she said, "Oh, she's just really worried because my husband won't talk about it." And I said, "He probably won't." I said, "That's not a bad thing." I said, "As long as he talks to either his colleagues or a psych about it, then that's what's important." I said, "We kind of hold back a lot because we don't want to offload onto what we consider, well, I think from my personal perspective, innocent people."
Yeah.
they don't deserve to hear that, and it's I don't know, it's a protective
It
mechanism.
is protective. It's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Once again, because if you don't share stuff with with your closest, then they sort of go, "Well, why won't he tell me this?" But the thing is, the reason he won't tell you is because he's trying to protect you from it. But in doing that protection, and this is where it's tricky, because in doing that, in protecting those people, they kind of feel like, "Well, why won't you tell me? I'm your partner. Like we're life partners. Why won't you tell me?" And I think I was guilty of this towards the end of my career, because the police club had kind of died off. It wasn't a thing. And the other thing, it wasn't possible to get from Darwin City to Palmerston without drink driving. So we just didn't drink in town. So especially, bloody, you're not going to leave your car at work and get a cab home from work. Like, it's not going to happen. So you might have a beer or two and then you go home. But um, the trouble was, I'd come home and then I say, "Oh, so today we dealt with this." And Emma, I remember a couple of times she went, "Just please don't tell me this stuff." And I was like, "Well, shit, I got to tell someone." Bloody
Yeah,
hell.
yeah, that's
So,
right.
and I can understand where she was coming from, because she wasn't a cop. She was a school teacher, mate. She operated in a whole different world. So don't get me wrong, school teaching is a bloody hard
Oh,
slog. I could never do
yes.
that. There's no way I could be a school teacher. But anyway, she would say that. So I think I shared a bit with her, but that would be that protection. That's
Yeah,
that. It's a protection that can somehow actually hurt your relationship, because you're keeping things from your partner, and it's not that you're trying to keep a secret. It's just that you're not trying to inflict that trauma onto them, and that's all that is. But um, it's interesting that you mentioned, before we started recording, you mentioned, we'll have to get my mum on, and
yeah,
I thought, and I spoke to my mum about it. We're in Toowoomba just recently, and she said, "Oh, well, no, because Liz was up there, and she sort of, I never was up there, and all this sort of stuff." I mean, she came and visited, but she didn't really see me working. She didn't live at a remote community for months and on end and all this sort of stuff. So she wasn't absorbed in it. But
yeah,
what's interesting coming from my mum, and why she might be worth getting on, is because she said, "I've learnt so much listening to the podcast." She's gone, "I had no idea the shit you were doing. I had some idea, but I like the detail." She had no idea of the detail, like no comprehension, and nor should she. Like, I didn't talk about it, so
no,
I'd mention broad general things, but I wouldn't talk about specifics of jobs or anything like that. So, and she didn't see the getting called out all night out in the remote communities, or getting called out as a detective in Tennant Creek and Catherine, and getting called to deaths in Alice Springs as a coroner's connie, or going to work at 5 a.m. and turning my radio on in Darwin for Strike Force Trident, and then immediately hearing my guys still on duty in a pursuit, knowing that in 30 minutes time I'm going to be in that pursuit, or I'm going to be dealing with the aftermath. So
yeah,
she didn't see that, but
yeah.
she still had her son in the police force, 2,500 kilometres away. So I reckon it might be an interesting perspective.
Well, yeah, mate, definitely. And I think a lot of people have actually given that feedback. They never really understood, and even people that didn't know us. I think that's one of the things the podcast has actually brought out, because it's suddenly people realised some of the stuff we deal with, not so much what we deal with, but what police deal with day in, day out. Um, so I think that's one of the good things that's really come out of it. And like, yeah, like your mum mentioned that, and my mum mentioned that. She's like, my mum and I are very close, and yeah, she just never actually, because most of the time we tell the funny stories, we don't actually tell the serious ones.
Oh
And
shit, no, yeah,
one of the ones, like my mum's brother, I remember, I saw him over the years. He was a cop in the 50s in Queensland, and I know when we went out to visit him not that long ago, about a year ago, and it wasn't till the two of us were by ourselves he actually really started talking about some of the stuff, because he just wouldn't mention it in front of other people, but he talks about it because he knows that I've been through it, because he listens to the podcast as well.
yeah.
Uh, I think it's just that, and that's what we talk about. It doesn't matter where you're in the job, which jurisdiction, you just have that connection.
Oh, you just get it, mate. Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's and it's not. I would extend that to military. So veterans, it's funny, especially we've mentioned our mate, the bloke we met in Sydney, who was a Vietnam veteran. But I've had, other conversations where blokes will say not so much stories and things like that. And it's normally a fleeting conversation, but it will be where just you can't. It's hard because no one gets it. And I've mentioned this before in the podcast, where that's why the RSL was created, because everyone coming back from the First World War, they couldn't tell stories. They couldn't relate to other people because no one could comprehend what their life was like, except for other veterans, and that's why the RSL even exists.
oh, exactly, mate. Maybe we need to start the Two Ordinary Cops Hotel.
Oh
Um,
God, help us! Yeah, yeah. No, I'm too old. I'm too old for that shit. Yeah.
oh, mate. But look, I actually had, when I first left the police, I had one of my dreams was actually to set up an establishment like that, not basically for first responders where they could go and actually have a chat and have a beer. Not like we've said, not being drunken idiots, but people that understand.
And you know what? I don't think we need to. I think we just need to support the ones that exist because there's plenty there.
Yeah,
And I think
that's
the beauty of it is there's so many. There are not, when I say so many, there are quite a few people establishing organisations outside of the police force that bring like-minded people with similar experiences together and normalise that experience post-service.
yeah.
And I think that's the conversation, because I reckon we can save a truck ton of lives by just normalizing an experience. And it can be anything from us. And, mate, we're not that. I mean, people might argue, but we're not that mentally unhealthy, really. We're quite healthy
I know.
mentally.
Speak about yourself, there, mate.
Yeah, well, your sense of humor takes a dive every now and then. But, we are very, very lucky in a lot of regard, um, about our mental health. And I also look at my old mate Mickey Dutram, Mickey D. God rest his soul. His coronial is ongoing at the moment. Um, for those catching up, he's a long-serving 20-year plus senior constable in the Northern Territory, the most loved police officer in the Northern Territory amongst police. Took his own life in 2022,
Yeah.
and they're delving into the PTSD around that and why, and the fact that he even reached out. But one thing I found amazing, and this is something is worth talking about that I hadn't even thought of until now. There was an expert, and I'm just going off the headline, which is unlike me. I normally delve deeper, but um, the headline and the article basically outlined that um, when you have a police squad, you have an unusually healthy, unusually intelligent group of human beings in one place, like more so than the general population. There's a reason that, on the average of the population, I should say, and the reason being they've come through a screening process. They're bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, motivated, and they're ready to roll. You take that really motivated group of people through a police college, and then you put them into the police service. What you find is that they are more susceptible to long-term problems, especially the long-term serving people, because they are the ones who will keep turning up. They will keep running towards danger. They will be, I've never been a failure in my life. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. And they're also, you know, they're happy to toe the line. All right, we've been taught how to do this. These are the rules. Away we go. So they operate within that group and they work well. And you'd hope that most of those people have been psychologically screened so that they have a level of empathy towards victims. They're good, but they're also motivated to bring people to justice. And what happens with those people is they end up more susceptible to this, and they're very unlikely to ask for help because of some of the setups within police forces historically that have created a situation where they don't ask for help until it's too late. If
Yeah.
there was no stigma around it earlier, they would be able to go, look, I'm just having a few mental health dramas. I'm going to fix it up. It's early stages. It's like my legs are starting to play up because I run a lot.
Mm.
And before your knees give out and you break and you fall and you can't even walk anymore, you go and see somebody and you get your legs fixed. Well, it's the same thing. And That's the thing. If there was ongoing ability, and to me, it was always the stigma of, oh, you've gone and seen the psych and taken some time off for mental health. Well, shit. Well, we're going to have a look at you. And that's what, it's hard. I know it's hard. I get it. Because you got to be tough. You got to be resilient. You can't just be a victim. Like day one out of the college, I saw something nasty. I feel really bad. No, there's a
Yeah,
balance. You
yeah,
need to be able to understand that you need to have this is where it is really difficult to fix these problems, because you must have the wherewithal to deal with policing, not just general life. You have to be a mentally tough and physically tough human to be a copper. It simply has to exist. Otherwise, you won't last 30 seconds. So you have to be like that. But then you have to also have a situation, or have an organisation that's willing to go, righto, if you're struggling with things, we've got a way to help you, and that shouldn't carry a stigma. And I think we're moving in the right direction. We're not there yet, and that's fine, but I think it's moving in the right direction. I don't want to create a situation where we get a whole heap of malingerers who are just going, oh, I've got mental health injuries. But I'm saying I do want to create a situation where genuine people on the ground can put their hand up and go, listen, I'm struggling. I need to fix this.
yeah.
And that's where it's got to be balanced. There's got to be that, mate, you have to be tough. And the territory, holy Jesus, if you're not resilient and tough, you're
You won't.
screwed.
Yeah,
Wrong job.
yeah.
Wrong job. But,
Uh, Mate, there's something interesting you mentioned there, and like it was about the squad and all that sort of stuff. What keeps us turning up time and time and time again is because we will not let them down. And it's not only our squad; it's our colleagues, our brothers and sisters in the police. We continually will not let them down because
yeah,
we're a team, and that's and that's something that's even lost in a lot of workplaces these days. But in the police and or frontline services, I think a lot it's just a different story because in our line of work, it can mean life or death.
yeah.
Um, so it's one of those things, and I think and we've kind of segued nicely.
Oh,
In its
before you go, mate, I just want
okay,
before we move on, I've just thought of something, and it's relevant. It was obviously written. So Red Gum in 1984 released the very famous song "I Was Only 19," and
yeah,
there's a line in there that really relates to policing, and it is, "You wouldn't let your mates down till they had you dusted off, so you closed your eyes and thought about something else."
yep,
And it's funny. I mean, that song, I can't listen to it without bloody cracking a tear,
oh,
because I get it. Like, I understand that was about Vietnam veterans, but I get it. And when it comes to police mental health, I think it's completely relevant. You wouldn't let your mates down till they had you dusted off, so you closed your eyes and thought about something else. And it just resonates. It's
it
just so
does,
true.
yeah. Yep, exactly right. And I think this is where we talk about, and like this also segues. This is what we talk about. What you and I have talked about a lot, and I know a lot of other police officers talked about the police club. It was that place of connection. It was that place
Mm.
to unleash. It was that place to talk. It was that place to, decompress. That's where you. I mean, that's where you feel like you're not in this alone.
Yeah.
And it's so important. And in talking about that, mate,
Yep.
I'm just going
Segue.
to I'm going to segue now. Um, I have I was lucky enough to go to the Gold Coast, and thank you, Ben Hoskins, for giving me a couple of ideas on where we can host on the 18th of October. The Two Ordinary Cots. Well, we're going to do a bit of a live show and just have a chat and just sit down and have a drink with people and just tell yarns. And like I said, doesn't you don't have to be a first responder, don't have to be a police officer if you want to just come and understand more, or you're like minded, yeah, or even want to join the police. Come along
Or
and
you're
have
thirsty. We don't care.
well, yeah. Exactly. But mate, at the moment, I've actually got the Broadbeach Tavern, and I'm gonna look into that because it looks very promising. So I really like the atmosphere. I really like the location, and I reckon we can make it work. But I'll once it's confirmed, I'll let everybody know. But look, come along; it will be a cracking day. And look, if you're intending to come along, please let us know, so I can have an idea on numbers. Because the bigger the better.
Could blow up. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it could. Um, like we said, we didn't know how good our one in the landmark was going to be in in Palmerston, but that was only about 24 hours before, mate, and we cracked on with about 30 or 40 people, so over the night, so that was pretty good.
Well, I
Um,
thought that was going to be me and you having a beer at one point. Yeah, no, that was good. It was
it was.
really good. And actually, that was a brilliant night. That was fantastic. It was like reliving old days. So, yeah, if you're in the Gold Coast area, or if within a couple of hours and you want to come along, you're more than welcome. It'll be a bloody good night. So,
Ex-
or good day, good night. Well, I don't know how long we'll go. We'll just see what happens.
Well, mate, I think from history, even when we were in the police, we used to call it the liquid lunch. So from 12 p.m., we'll just keep going until
Yeah,
I
so
suppose
you're
they
sick of it.
close. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the last
Yeah.
time we did it at the Indooroopilly Hotel, I think we're there till what 2:30 in the morning or
Oh, it
something.
was a show. Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
But mate, so we're gonna have to move in again.
Yes,
Talking about beers, we're gonna move into the carton of the week.
yes, yes. We are,
And
mate.
I'm so proud of me colleagues from we've got a couple, we've got a few,
We
but
have.
we're gonna start with our lovely colleagues from WA over in Perth. I love Perth. Jesus, a good city. But
Oh,
anyway, WA is an enormous joint. It's a lot bigger than Perth. But what do you got for us, mate?
well, mate, this is it's pretty awesome actually. This one.
Well,
So,
it's so relatable, Schultzy, because I've
oh,
been involved in this before. So anyway,
well,
yeah, keep going.
mate, the thing is, I haven't. But people understand as soon as I start talking about it. So anyway, it's from a guy. I'm not going to mention his name, but he'll know who he is because he's actually worked with a very good ex colleague of mine. And he said, "Hey fellas, good work on the podcast. Have been really enjoying the episodes and has influenced my policing for the better." So that's always nice to hear. With the getting too much into it, uh, on a particular night, my sergeant. Hold on, offsides. Oh, so they had a stinger set up. You actually got this one, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yep, yep, yep.
So hang on,
Uh,
I'll just put some context. So they're obviously having a pursuit. There's a police pursuit involved here, and as a result, they've deployed what they call a stinger, which is a tire deflation device. Basically, it's an extendable, like a scissor arm. Think of a caterpillar. It extends out, and it's got spikes all over it that actually they puncture the tire, and then they get pulled out of the stinger device, and they stay in the tire, and they slowly deflate it. So that's what
yeah,
a stinger is. Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, yeah. So they're set up on a major highway, waiting for a motor vehicle basically to come past. As they're setting up the stinger, they also had the string slightly raised over the road, and was enough for a truck to pick up and send the handle flying, causing some of the stinger to extend. Now, anybody that understands stingers, I don't really understand them that well, so because I've never
Holy
used.
shit, I do.
Yeah.
I've used them hundreds of times. Yep, go for it. Keep talking. All good.
So as he's run over to fix it, another car has flown past, not the target vehicle, and clipped the side of the Stinger, followed by a whoosh of the vehicle continued down the highway and pulled over somewhere in the darkness.
Oh, too good. So what's happened? I'll explain it. What's going on? These guys have obviously, or they're either in a pursuit or they're going to hit a stolen car covertly. We don't have enough information, but that's okay.
Yeah,
What they've done is the stinger extends out like a big. Geez, I can't think of the word, but it basically just extends out, like everything folds out, and you can pull that device completely across the road, 2 lanes of road, or 1 lane, I can't remember exactly. And what it does is the vehicles then drive over it, take the thing, and then you can pull it again with the string, and it will pull it off the road. So what they've done is they've had the activation string not sitting on the ground. They've had it slightly elevated. And as a result, a truck has picked up the string and pulled that stinger and extended it out. And then a civilian car has driven past, who's not the target, and actually punctured their tyres on the stinger and had to pull over. And this is, and the whoosh is the tyres deflating as they drive along, and they pulled over probably with 2 flat tyres.
Yep.
So when we talk about carton of the week, yeah, that's a carton.
That's
That's a carton. Whoever was operating that stinger, because the police force now has to turn around and replace those people's tyres.
Yeah.
So, yep, that's a carton. Buy beer.
That's
Go down to your local and buy the crew some beer.
So, yes. So, and look, we want to make sure that, so apparently they're going to get on the sauce in a couple of weeks as a team. So I want to make sure that carton is paid.
Yeah, you got to make sure. Whoever was holding the handle at the time and had it elevated and the truck picked it up,
yep,
you owe a carton.
Yep, definitely.
Don't get me wrong, we're not knocking you. Mistakes happen.
But
you owe a carton.
Like I said, you and I have paid more cartons than probably a lot of people.
Oh God,
yeah. So, but that is definitely, mate. That is definitely a carton any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Oh yeah. So I've actually had a similar experience, and there was an excellent one from Victoria Police a few years ago where there was a car coming through. They've deployed the stinger. They've missed the target vehicle, and then they've gone to pull the stinger off the road. And an unmarked vehicle that was actually in their primary position, so the first vehicle behind the target vehicle, which is the car you're pursuing, went to go around the stingers, and then the person operating the stinger pulled it back to get rid of it off the road and actually pulled it in the way of the target vehicle, of the pursuing vehicle, and deflated all 4 tyres of the police car. I've been involved. I wasn't actually the one. I turned up later. I was a supervisor, so I was sort of scooting around, but I was catching up to this thing, and there was a tyre deflation. It was a pretty tight pursuit, so we had the target vehicle out, but there was a little bit of traffic around. Not heavy, but just a couple of cars around. Anyway, apparently the stinger was deployed and got the target vehicle beautifully. But then as they were trying to get it out of the way, about, I think it was 2 or 3 civilian cars ran straight over it. And I think the NT police were up for about, 12 tyres, I think. Yeah. The NT police had to replace about 3 vehicles worth of tyres. So, yeah, it was a shit show. But anyway, that happens. The thing is, they got their target vehicle, so it was all good.
Mate, the most important thing out of all that were cartons paid in relation to that.
Well, I'm not sure. It wasn't a real big this is the later part of my career. It wasn't a real big thing. The carton thing for us was more early on.
Yeah.
It still existed. It was still around, and when you're having a laugh, and good crews would do it. But I think we're trying to get it going again, mate. We want to try and boost morale and have a laugh at the fact that humans make mistakes, and we've got human beings performing, really doing really wild things.
Yeah,
and there needs to be a bit of banter. You need to have a sense of humour to do this job. I've said it 1,000 times.
Definitely, and also, mate. Mate, I can't remember when you blew that tyre in that pursuit and you re-engaged in the pursuit. Did you pay a carton for that?
Oh, probably not, mate. I probably owe that one too.
Bloody hell, that's disgusting, Damo.
I know. Imagine that in Catherine.
Jeez. Yeah. You would have been, drawn and quartered just about.
Yeah. Yes. So that's the carton of the week. Carton of the week to the West Australian Police. We're not going to tell where or when.
Yep.
But, to the operator of the stinger device, we get it, mate. It's hard going. It's a wild show. The adrenaline's up. But you owe beer, my friend. That's
right, exactly. And we're going to make sure it's paid. Otherwise, you're going to have to face the wrath of the 2 ordinary cops, which I'm not really sure what that means, but it'll be a carton regardless.
Yeah, it sounds confronting.
It's
probably not.
We also have another one, but we're going to save it till next week. So
yeah, we've got a couple. Yeah, no, we've got to save them up. But yeah, for all the coppers out there, emergency services, defence, let us know. Cartons of the week. Did someone have an ND on Talisman Sabre? You defence blokes, let us know.
Yep, exactly.
An ND is a It's a discharge. What is it? A non-authorized discharge. So
Discharge.
basically, someone let a round go that they weren't meant to. So who knows? Who's stuffed up?
Well,
Let us know.
that might be Jason Dingle. We should get him on actually.
Oh yeah. Oh Jesus, imagine that. I reckon
We,
that'll do it, Schultzy. What do you think?
it will, mate. It will definitely. But thank you everybody again for listening. And yeah, we'll see you all next week for the next carton of the week. And we're going to line up some more guest speakers. So keep on listening in.